Well, it wasn't all that resounding a win. I mean, it was a bitter race against Mitt Romney. Obama won the popular vote by a bare majority. But sure, you can pick and choose the headlines. But that was without the kind of record inflation, skyrocketing gas prices, looming economic crisis we're seeing now. Look, there's still time. This isn't 2024. But joining me now is Hank Sheinkopf, veteran political consultant who's worked on campaigns for former President Bill Clinton and New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, among others. Hank, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so is this normal for Democrats to seemingly have this kind of non-existent bench?
Democrats have a much more fractious coalition. It's hard for them to agree on anything. They don't have much of a backbench. It's just not developed. And part of what is exacerbating that is a real generational shift in our politics in both parties and in our demographics. Our demographics are shifting as well.
So do Democrats have a shot at having a DeSantis? I mean, it does seem like Republicans already are kind of coalescing around DeSantis as the challenger to Trump. Now, I'll tell you that I've talked to senior Republican operatives who say that's actually bad for DeSantis, that this is too early for him, and that this could end up hurting him down the road. But are there any Democrats who have that potential?
First, I think the Republican operatives have said that you're very smart and they understand that the longer you're in the sunlight, the more likelihood you're going to get burned. Just that simple, and that's what could happen to DeSantis. Are there Democrats that are prepared to run into the battle should Biden not be there? Amy Klobuchar, certainly. Murphy from New Jersey, he could do it. Whitmer could do it. Any of those that you mentioned, Pritzker, they could all be good candidates. The question is, can they put it together quickly? All of the people I just mentioned have experience putting together campaigns, raising the money they need. In two cases, they won't have to start out without any money because they can give it to themselves to start the ball rolling. That's just a fact of life. But is there anybody that brings us all together at one moment that says, Democrats, let's go to war? The answer is no.
But you mentioned if Biden's not there. The question I guess I have is, I think the more realistic scenario is going to be Biden is going to be there. And how many of these Democrats are going to challenge him in the context of a primary? What is that going to look like?
It's not going to look good. Dan, the problem always is when you have these kinds of fights with an incumbent president within your own party. The classic one is the late Ted Kennedy, who decided to run against Jimmy Carter and made the mistake of being interviewed by then Roger Mudd, who was a reporter, great correspondent for ABC News. And that was the end of Ted Kennedy's campaign. So running against an incumbent president, not the best thing. Either side of the aisle doesn't work out very well, generally.
And so the toughest hurdle, maybe more than Biden, is Harris, right? Because even if Biden steps aside, it's tough to ask Harris to do the same thing. She's ambitious, and let's face it, the optics of asking the first minority female VP to step aside would not play well with the base. How do they deal with that if she's simply not popular?
They don't deal with it very well. She's not very popular. Her performance on the debate stage would probably cancel her out. The only way you get rid of her, if that's what you want to do, is to go through a primary campaign period with her as one of the candidates. And if her numbers decline precipitously, well, that's the end of that story. But that's what would have to happen.
And finally, what do you make of that argument that it's absurd and a lot of Democrats, by the way, feel this way, that it's absurd to talk now about Joe Biden not running in 2024?
Democrats are going through what the Republicans are going through, but the Republicans have solidified already to deal with the problem, which is they're going through a generational shift. Yeah. Joe Biden is not of the generation that is coming up. Would they like to get rid of him? There's a lot of people worried about things called inflation, cost of gas at the pump, and the fact that he's almost 80 years old. But Donald Trump has many of the similar problems. He's also old. He's also going to have other kinds of problems.
But he's not old like Biden's old. I mean, putting aside policy, putting aside everything else, Joe Biden looks and feels much older than Trump does. I'm not saying, and therefore there's going to be a lot of support for Donald Trump among young people. But, it's a real issue. Joe Biden's an old 79.
It is all how people perceive it. And based upon, you're right, and based upon the polling we see, that's, in fact, the perception. And you know what? Perception is, in the political business, oftentimes reality.
Yep. Hank Sheinkopf, thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.